Hi guys, it's X here, coming to you with a video review of DC Collectibles Justice League Aquaman. So yeah, I'm very excited to have this figure because he was kind of a challenge to even get. A lot of the ways that you could only get this figure here in the Philippines were by purchasing the entire set, which is not the experience for everybody, but for a lot of people that was pretty much the experience. So a lot of us had to resort to doing group buys, and in fact, this was a group buy figure as well. Now, this is Justice League Aquaman as seen in the DC animated universe, and I'm very excited to unbox him and show you guys basically, everything about this figure. So, let's take a look at the packaging real quick. Over on the side, you have production art for Aquaman. Pretty much the same production art that we've seen ever since the beginning, which is him jumping off the water, I suppose, but that art's been around since the beginning, so nothing really new. And then you have the card back, which shows you the assortment of all the figures available in the line. And funny enough, there's Aquaman there, and there's Justice League over there. Now, in the episode hereafter, it was revealed that Aquaman actually ended up being the 8th member of the Justice League in the DC animated universe. But of course, everything we've seen since, such as Crisis on Two Earths and Initiation, pretty much just puts him on par with every other DC character that joined the Justice League at a later date. So it's just interesting that, he's basically the only non-Justice League character, circa Justice League, that appeared in this line. Okay, so come around here. This is just the side of it, so you don't really see anything else. You can see he's number 6 for some reason, and not number 8. I would have expected him to be number 8 in the line, considering how he's, not a member of the Justice League. But you have a nice foil logo here of DC Collectibles. Now I'm going to go ahead and unbox this. So as it's standard with new DC Collectible boxes, it's basically a pull-out box, and you have here a nice inlay tray with the Justice League art from before. So I'm definitely keeping this, but for reasons like maybe using it with my other DC figures, because that works great. Now, this is not the DC Collectibles Aquaman. It's actually the Mattel Aquaman, which I'll be using to compare, but that's how it looks with the insert tray, which I will definitely be keeping. Okay, so as you can see here, he's got twist ties. For some reason, it looks like some stress on the packaging in the plastic. I'm not sure if that was caused by the figure or whatever, but there's just one twist tie and one rubber band here, so I'll just cut. Okay, so I had to remove some plastic from the hair as well, so you want to be careful how you remove him from the box. But essentially here you have Aquaman. Okay, so let's take a look at the paint. So this is pretty much the new style of figure that DC Direct has been doing, or DC Collectibles, wherein the plastic is essentially the color of whatever they wanted to do, whereas before the entire figure was painted. So this follows that newer trend, which I guess started just before the New 52, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so there's let's see. So the head is painted just a little bit with the eyes and the hair and the earring. The hair looks to be a separate piece that's been glued on, which is impressive because it's almost seamless. It is seamless actually. And the hair, it's made of soft plastic, which is really nicely done. I am impressed actually. So it's soft rubber for this belt, which is a separate piece, so I'm not doing it now, but I can imagine you can, like in this case, it seems a little not too perfectly centered. Oh, there, actually, that fixed it. I just needed to center the body. Okay, so if it's not too centered on your copy, I guess you can heat it up a bit and then turn it around because it looks to be a separate piece. And then this is also painted in that drab mustard yellow, which is, you know, what passes off for gold in the DCAU. It's a really nice representation, actually. And you have the scales over here, which are not like all over the figure, because, you know, the scales really just are above his crotch, as you can see even in the production art. So that's pretty accurate. In terms of articulation, you have a ball joint head, but he can't move like a lot. He can look up a bit, but not by much. I'm guessing it's because of the hair and because of the assembly of the ball joint in the first place. And then you have shoulder swivel and an assembly here for the, basically you have 2 joints here and 2 joints here to allow for front and back movement and side to side movement, as you can see here. Same thing with the elbows, but not like super much. And then you have also the same pretty much setup here for the hands. So you have wrist articulation, which is, you know, 360 degrees here, and then he can move his fists these directions. Okay, so the other hand, of course, is not a hand, and you've got the harpoon, and the harpoon can pretty much move 360 degrees, which is nice. Okay, so for the crotch, it's basically the same T-crotch type articulation with a little bit of assembly here so that he can move his legs this way. And then you have single knee bend. You can also move the feet that way, front and back. No ankle rockers, but that's fine. You know what, the thing is, I've always been a little scared of, you know, doing Bruce Timm style figures with too much articulation, because if they're too small, they're going to wreck the figure, as you can see in Justice League when they went from 5 points of articulation to 7 or 9 points of articulation, which kind of ruined the whole aesthetic. But here it works really, really nicely. I mean, he is still top heavy and everything, but because, you know, that's the nature of the design, but it works excellently. Let's talk a bit about that metal. And it's gray plastic with a silver string, as you can see. Works nicely. I do want to say that if you did, like, you know, put all those together and try to articulate him, you will experience some bit of a limited movement because of how the feet, well, in the entirety of the body is designed. So, you know, while you're gonna get some excellent poses in, and it just popped off, so you gotta be careful with that. So while you will get some excellent poses in, you know, don't expect like a hyper articulated figure or whatever. I mean, this is pretty much, you know, there's a lot of articulation in here, don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be, you know, the same level of articulation as, say, your DC Multiverse figure from Mattel, in the sense that there's still going to be some limitations with regard to how the figure is designed and how they needed to stick to the aesthetics of Bruce Timm's figures. Now, that's probably why the McFarlane figures, well, while still limited in a sense in terms of articulation, they were still able to pull off some pretty impressive points of articulation by kind of deviating from the model. It doesn't, the Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern figures, they don't really look on model. They don't appear just like how the Bruce Timm design was realized. This is a much more accurate figure in terms of the model sheets, and not a lot of people are going to be buying this anyway for articulation, but rather for the design, and it nails it 100%. So let's compare him to the previous release, which is from Mattel, which does an excellent job of being an Aquaman figure, but I feel like this is closer to the show model in terms of the placement of everything in the figure. And as you can see, it is not trying to pass off gold for gold, but rather embraces the cartoonishness of it, which, you know, you can't get actual gold. So what they did was they went with whatever passes for gold in an animation capacity, which is this mustard goldish yellow, I suppose. It looks great to me. You know, as a figure, it's a great update to Aquaman, and I feel like this is one of those figures that really deserved a 6-inch update. Now let's take a quick look at how he compares to other figures with this harpoon hand style. Here's DC Direct's 6-inch, almost 7-inch actually, Aquaman from the JLA line. So you can see he's a little shorter but a lot wider. And here he is with DC Universe Classics or DC Multiverse or DC Signature, if you want to be like super accurate about it. It's essentially one line anyway. But the DC Signature Collection Aquaman, and they actually look really nice. Like, they're obviously all, you know, part of one family of figures, which is great. You know, I imagine if McFarlane does this, that they'll be a couple of heads taller because, you know, they're trying to do their own thing despite using the DC Multiverse line name as an extension. But okay, sure, whatever. But overall, I really love this figure and how chunky it is, and how, you know, it has just, you know, the right amount of weight that it feels like it's worth the price of admission, so to speak. And so there he is with other Aquaman figures from the DC animated universe, and he looks like I said earlier, just a really good update. Like a very 2020 figure of DC animated Aquaman, and I'm sure he will look great with any of your animated collections, like whether you're collecting the entire thing or you just got Batman and a few other figures, or if you're collecting all of the DC animated line, he will look amazing next to all of them. This has been X. Thank you so much for watching this video review for X's Toy Universe. Till next time!